And you're recording. And I probably won't see you, so I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
Whenever you're here.
I will pick you up.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yep.
and thanks for your help.
Yep.
Okay, why don't we start, give me your name and your current address.
Okay, my name is James S. Williams, Jr. I currently live 24473 Main Street, Phelps Mills, New York, 13638.
Now, you joined the Army in 1974.
October 24th, that's correct.
Now, prior to that, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Pittsburg, Pennsylvania.
And was that where you were living when you decided to join the military?
No, I was living at that time because I had transferred from Pitt down to another small college in North Carolina, Winston-Salem, and things didn't work out, so.
Which college in North Carolina?
Winston-Salem. And joined the Army then.
What made you decide to join the Army?
Well, I wanted to do something different. I felt as if I wasn't going anywhere in particular at that particular time in my life. I needed a little more discipline in my life. And so...
I mean, 1974 was in October. That was Vietnam was just ending, and now everyone was thinking of joining the military at that point.
No, they weren't. In fact, a lot of people who I knew coming back from Vietnam, they said, don't do it, don't do it. But that was what they were saying. And plus, I wanted to see the world at the same time. And I thought at that time, I still believe at that time, that was the best decision I ever made.
So when you joined, going into it, what was your, what were your thoughts as far as what you were going to be doing in the military?
Well, I thought I would go out for being an officer because I thought I had leadership capabilities. I was about 24 at that particular time, 23, 24 at that time, so I was a little older. I wasn't just a kid. Now, I needed some direction, needed a little more guidance. And I had some computer background back then, which was the old common business-oriented language, COBOL, and all those things. And so I thought I'd be working with computers or some sort of leadership. What really struck me, I would see, I guess what they now call convoys going up and down the road. See these missiles, things like that, and I was interested, pretty much. And at the same time, I wanted to see the world. I didn't have money to see the world, so I said maybe if I join the Army and see that the government expense, I can kill two birds with one stone. I only thought I would just do it for a couple years. A couple years turned into 20, almost 21 years.
So where'd you go to basic training?
Fort Jackson, South Carolina, Tank Hill, Echo 5-1, which was good. They saw some leadership capabilities in me at that time, I guess older NCOs, and they made me a squad leader. From there, you chose your MOSs, what you wanted to do, and like I said, I wanted to work with computers, so there was this, they really psyched me into this computer program, which was on a weapon system, but it worked out pretty good. That's it.
So what was it that you found yourself doing?
I found myself transferring to Fort Bliss, Texas. Air Defense Artillery was the MOS on my job, which was the main job is to shoot down the airplanes. It was short-range air defense. And there was a computer on that particular weapon system, a Unit 4 computer, which really, I said, okay, there's your computer, but it was a weapon system, and it was a good weapon system. It was a 20 millimeter weapon system, like the old Gatling gun, but made up pretty good, and got into it pretty good. It was a really good weapon, and I'm disappointed that they got rid of it. I got into it pretty good. I learned it. After all my advanced individual training was done, they shipped me off to Germany, and But before that, they made me a squad leader in advanced individual training, and then they took it away. You know, like I said, I needed a little bit of discipline back then, and so my attitude coming from the streets of Pennsylvania. Tried to bring that into the Army, and no, you had to have a certain amount of discipline to be in this Army. Yeah, and that's what it was about, discipline for me. And but really got me. This one non-commissioned officer, he said, "Well, you're not going to make it because of your attitude." And he was a Vietnam vet, and he said, "You're not going to make it." And he looked at me straight in the eyes, and he said, "I can't see you doing a career. Can't see it. It's not in you." That stuck with me till the time I retired from the military. It was okay.
You ever look him up and tell him he was wrong?
I saw him because most of the air defenders retired at Fort Bliss, Texas at that particular time. And my last military course was the Battle Staff course. And I saw him at the PX. And I said, "You might not remember me, but I remember you. You told me that I wasn't going to make it, but I did. And here I'm at the Battle Staff course, and I'm at the highlight of my military career now, and in about 4 more years I'm about to retire. I just want to let you know thank you very much." And of course, when you're doing training, people come, people go, and but there's certain things or certain people I'll never ever forget, ever. And he was one of them. And my first and only squad leader was another one. Yeah.
Do you think his criticism helped you?
It didn't hurt me. That's for sure. It didn't hurt me. You know, when he said it to me the first time, I was a little upset, but I picked myself up, moved on. You know, I didn't let it sweat me, but I wasn't going to let it beat me either. And so I moved on from that. I did the best I could.
Now, when you went to Germany, what did you find yourself doing there?
Well, I became part of a squad. And, people come, people go, and I became part of a squad, and they was doing things different because they were still, at the time, the wall was up, and we still was dealing with the Cold War, pretty much, back in the early 70s. And I met Sergeant Ken Downs.
Pardon me?
Ken Downs. And he was my first and only squad leader. He was a Vietnam veteran. And became part of the squad. I became the senior gunner. Wasn't a driver. And that time he either had a 3-man squad or a 4-man squad. We had a 3-man squad. It was Sergeant Downs, myself, Scotty, he was the driver. And we would get evaluated. We have crew drills. We have alerts where you had to, they call an alert early in the morning, and you had to get up, get all your equipment, put your equipment on your track, be ready to move out.
Now, what year would this have been when you got to Germany?
75.
75.
Yes, sir. 75. Kaiserslautern, Germany.
So now, this is when, now the following year was Jimmy Carter became president. Mm-hmm. So now, some of the people I've talked to, sort of, during that period felt that, the military really wasn't as valued as it is today. What was your experience?
I hung around, I think, at that particular time, there were people who were just gung-ho, period. I tried to put myself around those few people who were somewhat successful at that particular time. Understanding, too, that, remember, I'm a little older, and so my discipline started to become a little better, and my attitude was becoming a little better. And I I wasn't concerned about the politics of it. I was more concerned about what the military stood for. Because as my SWAT leader, Sergeant Down, taught me, it's about honor, and it's about duty, and it's about the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in war. And it's about, doing the job the best you can possibly do. And at the same time, he said, Williams, I'm not going to be around all the time. And so one day, you'll be in charge. You're going to be doing the same things, and if you stick around long enough, if you straighten up, he said, yeah, I need to, cut off a little more of your edges, but you're going to be okay. And but the politics of it, with the government, I wasn't concerned about that. I was concerned about doing my job as best I could, and what my job meant to me, with that little small part at that time.
So how was Germany?
Germany was great. It was excellent. And when you were there, you get to pick up the language, you get to travel. We traveled and saw things I could never imagine, and just, if they treat people right, they treat you right. And when I finally left there, through my whole military career, I felt like I was treated like a prince over there, and I grew over there and grew up over there. And not only just Germany, but Europe, period, was pretty nice at that particular time. Denmark was good, Austria was good, and Italy was nice, and it was good, but it was no place like home, don't get me wrong.
Of course, it was also the height of the Cold War, and you're training for, what could have been, Armageddon. You've got, there you are in Germany on, wondering if, the orders will ever come when things, could all go down. What was it like, during that period?
Well, during that period, you always stayed on your toes. And there was an exercise called Reforger that would happen once a year. And when all the Allied forces get together, we have our war games there. And then you would see what they call the smelling cards. From, at that particular time, the units from Russia would come by in their cars. And, you're always on alert. And you always, General Croucher used to say, think war. And you always have to have that mindset. You try not to get lax or too lax. Always expect the unexpected. And that's why you had to be prepared. Preparation is very important. Your equipment had to be ready. You had to be ready. At any given time, any given moment. So, myself and Scotty, we would make sure our equipment was ready. We might be starting down at that particular time. We might be working a little longer, a little harder, making sure. So at any given notice, all we had to do is, everybody had a job to do. Grab this, grab that, and be ready to go. And we were always ready. Even though he worked us hard, pushed us hard, then we find ourselves off most of the time when people were working. We were ready, we were prepared, we knew our aircraft recognition, because we had to know aircraft recognition, we had to know vehicle recognition, we had to do our PT tests, of course, and things like that, and we said, you guys are working, but we're off. We would get challenged, we get tested, and we were ready. And that stuck with me after Sergeant Downs left and things like that. Then when, instead of being promoted to Inspector 4, I was promoted to Corporal. They gave me a squad. They said, another little Downs coming up here, and which made me feel pretty good, because I would inspect my people 2 or 3 in the morning. They said, what you doing there? It's 2 or 3 in the morning. I said, enemy can come in any time. It doesn't matter what time it is. And so that's the kind of mindset I had that was instilled in me. And with that mindset, I would work my people hard, because I believed in them being prepared, period. If it was hot outside, we'd train in NBC gear, and we'd sweat. I keep telling them, the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in war, the less you bleed. And there was only three things that I will always remember. Well, there's more than three things, but you never walk away from a deficiency. You keep your soldiers informed. You support your commander. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. Over the years, you know, I would laugh at myself. And then when I went to the battle staff course, as I mentioned, when I saw that drill sergeant who said I wouldn't make it, but I saw a soldier of mine who I had in Germany. He said, Sergeant Williams, he was going through the advanced course, and I had been through that already. He said, remember me? And air defense is such a small group, small field, and you remember most of them. Some of them you don't think, well, we probably won't see them again. But he said, to me, he said, never walk away from a deficiency, keep your soldiers informed, support your commander. He said, you drilled that in us so much, and here I am at the advanced course, and I think you finished in the top 3 or 4 in that class. And he said, I want to thank you. That made me feel good, you know, and those are the rewards that I got out of it. And but it wasn't always good times. It was not so good times. There were times when you missed being home. There was times when you cried. There was times when you had to be a mother, a father, a brother. You know, there's times you just had to hug them and just say it's going to be okay. There were times when you saw soldiers trying to go off the deep end, you know, and you try to pull them back. And I'm fortunate that you have to have your faith too. God's been with me all the time, through ins and outs and ups and downs, and through the good points in my life and the low points. So, and I'm thankful and I'm grateful that there was people around me that, one, supported me. And it wasn't always still days you're out there in the cold and you wonder and you say, what the heck am I doing this for? And you're in the woods and it's pouring down rain and it's snowing and it's cold and you hear attitudes and you wake people up 2 or 3 in the morning. It's your turn for guard duty. It's your turn. It's your shift. You got to get out that sleeping bag. But it was, when you look back at it, you think about it, I did it, been there, understand. And when I relate that to the day, we didn't have stress cards or anything like that today. Soldiers are still soldiers, but it's about leadership and it's about listening, because sometimes you have to listen, not just passive listen. Somebody say something, just go in and out there. You have to really listen, because there's a group of soldiers today that they're young, they're hungry. A lot of them are poor and career-minded and career-oriented. They're young with young families, and they need guidance. They need guidance to help them, teach them along the way, so they won't come home from a conflict and with problems where you have to have a whole bunch of counseling, or they're beating up on their wives or their children, or they're drinking constantly, or become addicted to drugs. Soldiers today, no different from soldiers years ago when I was in. It's just that you have to listen and you have to care. Period. You have to care. And sometimes you got to take a soldier by the straps and say, hey, straighten up. Somebody took me and said, straighten up. Get your attitude right. Attitude is right. Boots highly shine. I miss those days, because I used to take pride in highly shine boots. Military creases in my uniform now, they don't shine boots anymore. I said, wow, what the heck? You know, and people would look at me and they say, wow, those boots. I used to love that gloss in the boots, you know. And you're walking with a step, and yeah. Even if, when I was a private, so now, keep your stuff in shape. Keep it. When it comes to open ranks march and you give you that inspection and look at me. And I would see some senior people when I was a private or PFC, and I would see senior people looking at my shoes. Say, yeah. You know, make you feel good. Say, yeah, I got you. My boots look good. And you take that, that's the kind of pride you have. Just from your boots to your uniform. And that's what it's about, pride. And you have to understand that's duty on the country. Period. I'm glad I still work for the Army. You know, my children thought I'm crazy. They said, Pops, you know, You're out your mind. I said, salute that flag on that house. I said, I'm not in the Army. I said, we're not in the Army. I said, yes, you are. You was in the Army with me all these years. Yes, you are. They said, you're out of your mind. And so when I get around their friend, they said, don't talk to him. He's a little out of his mind. He still think he's in the Army. Things like that. But, you know, people still call me Sarge. You know what I'm saying? I said, James. He said, no, you're still Sergeant Williams to me. And it's a good feeling when you do something good and people remember you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, that it took some work. It took some work. But I'm glad that I did it, and I think everybody should do it.
Well, what would you tell young people that are thinking about, you know, should they or shouldn't they?
I would tell them that it's something you've never done before, and first of all, how do you feel about your country? How do you feel about duty? How do you feel about discipline? Because it's not easy. If you're prepared for that, and if you can handle that, then the military is good for you, be it Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. You have to have a certain amount of discipline. You have to have a certain amount of loyalty. You have to be loyal 100%. 100%. No question. You have to want to do it. You have to be able to, whenever you see that flag, you know, you have to salute that flag. You have to stand up for that flag. You have to die for that flag. Now, are you willing to die for that flag? Not just burn the flag. Are you willing to die for that flag? You have to die for your country. That's a lot to ask. Especially these young folks, they're on the line right now. Go back 2 or 3 times and they have their lives on the line for this country, for our country. And you have to be willing to do that. Now, can you do that? Do you want to do that? Maybe it's not just a job, it's an adventure. And it is an adventure. You can see the world and have a great time, save some money, but it's about discipline. It can be a good, rewarding experience. And if you're really good enough, you become an officer. Depending upon what their field and what your specialty is, you can take what you learn from that and carry it over to the civilian side. But if you're going to do it, if I had the choice, I would have done it when I was 17 or 18 as opposed to 24. I would have retired from that at 37, 38. I'm still young enough to try something else. Now I'm 60 years old. And I would tell soldiers it's a good experience. Tell young folks, good, try it. Give it a shot. There's nothing like that flag, and especially when you've been going for a long time, and the first thing you do when you get off that airplane, you want to kiss the ground and say, thank you. Back home, USA, because this is it. It's the best country in the world. Period. Try living someplace else with the freedoms and the choices that we have. Try going someplace else. You won't find it. It's a good thing, and it's about forgotten country.
How did you find yourself up here?
I asked to come here. I was dealing, well, from 79 to 89, I was still in Europe. And I was dealing with an issue, well, I lost my children's mother. She had passed away. And that's another story. But they said, where do you want to go? After everything was settled, I said, I want to go to Fort Drum, New York, because this is closest to Pennsylvania.
Never heard it described quite like that.
Because I've never been stationed close to my house, close to home, Pittsburgh. I'm 7 hours from Pittsburgh. And we arrived here June 1st, 1989. 23 years ago almost. And I had about 5 more years to go before I retired. And with my new family, well, the kids were growing up, and so we arrived here, got here. The missus said we need to think about finding a place since we're going to be retiring in a couple of years. So we didn't want to go back to Philly. She's from Delaware, and didn't want to go back to Pittsburgh. I wanted to stay up here, and so let's give it a shot. Retired in 94, November 1st, and still here. But when I arrived here, I wanted to be around people who I thought may have been successful. Because, you know, sometimes success just, if you're around them, it'll rub right off on you. And I was fortunate, very fortunate. I met the late Charlie Weber, retired colonel who passed away. He was Jefferson County legislator, and his wife Barb, Cal Cross and Jim Minor. Well, they moved out the area, but Jim Minor is retired colonel, teaches at the Army Staff College. They were doing a lot of public speaking, and that was my thing too. I like public speaking, and so I got around them. So they sort of pulled me in their little circle, and Charlie got me back involved in my plays, things like that, and so while I was plays, yes,
Drama,
theater,
cool.
drama, yeah. And so got involved with Little Theater Watertown, did a lot of things with them, Jane Jenkins and I, and oh, that was great. We won, if I may say, the 2001 Tannis Festival for Driving Miss Daisy. I played Hope, Jane, of course, Miss Daisy, and we took all the awards. Did a lot with lyric theater, producing and calling shows, directing, Lost in Yonkers at Partridge Berry Inn, and then working with the Miss New York State pageant, because we were here for a while, so I'm familiar with the state office building. We had our pageants here, so after I retired, got involved with being in charge of security with myself and Gino Zandow, who was another county legislator. And so I had to get involved in the community, wanted to get involved in the community. And so as a result of my theater background and the lyric background, so people would call on me at times to MC programs or do this or do that. And that helped out. And then sometimes knowing people helps out. I was doing process serving at that time for the John Howlett, who was a public defender at that time. And so it was good to know people. That it is. And be involved and try and stay involved. And so that's what kept me here. And as a result, then here I am, commander of Legion. I'm part of the county as well. And Lord willing, next year, June, I'll be elected as the county commander for Jefferson County. Things go right if I stay healthy. And, you have to continue to serve. It's about serving, not worrying about what you're going to get out of it. It's about serving the people, serving the community. What that small portion that you can do. I'm also a Mason, and one of our teachings is that, you know, try to be like a piece of chalk, cause no matter how you touch it, it's going to rub. It's going to touch you. No matter how, the slightest touch leaves a trace, you know. And I just like to be remembered. Well, he was a good man. Tried to do some things in the neighborhood and the community, and without asking for anything in return. Because it's not about how many awards or things you get. It's about the work you do. That's it. The work you do. That's why I'm still here. Mrs. said, we got to go. I said, we've been up here 23 years. Where are we going? Where are we going? We've been here through 23 winters. Where are we going? So it's okay. It's been a good place.
So, any points that I left out that you'd like to bring up?
The road's not easy. You have to, and don't get me wrong, I'm a better person I am today than I was years ago. It's not all a bed of roses. You have to work at it. You do your best and do what you can. There's been ups, there's been downs, there's been trials, there's been tribulations, but it's made me a stronger person. It's good to know that when people see you, they smile. I want to give you a hug and shake your hand, as opposed to walk away from you and don't want to be around this person or that person. And I try to leave positive things around people. I try to stay focused, stay positive. I always tell people every day, there's at least one person I tell today, keep the faith. and you have to have a strong faith. I believe that you have to believe, and don't get me wrong, you have to believe in God. Period. The only other thing that you left out is that they're taking away the Pledge of Allegiance. When they say one nation under God, or things like that, and that bothers me because I grew up saying the Pledge of Allegiance in school, and now I don't know what's politically correct. What they say is politically correct, and as far as I'm concerned, it's about God and country. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Period. I guess that's pretty much it.
Well, Mr. Williams, I really appreciate you taking the time to come over here.